So I was looking at the numbers, obviously, like, what did we meet 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I think it was. So, and if I distinctly remember, like, everybody who was on the call has increased. No one stayed the same. No one's decreased. Um, Maybe, I know Sarah wasn't on the call, but I know we were kind of talking about Sarah maybe, but Tara, I think she was having trouble because she had some returns. She's up, Heather's in the 700s. Obviously, Brandy, picked up momentum. You picked up momentum, and obviously Amy picked up, like, I don't know, speed views or something. She picked up momentum. So that's kind of what I look at, like, from a team sense. Like, your team is obviously trending director status. You're like, what, 9992, right?
Right.
Like $8 away.
Mhm.
If I remember right, I think that you hit it, right? Like a week out.
It was like within the last like 2 days of the month.
Okay. So we have 4 days left in the month and you're at ease, obviously. And if you look back at that, obviously adding Amy was huge, adding Chrissy was huge. So my whole thing always goes back to duplication, and I know that sometimes that's the hardest part for some people. But if you look at it in the sense of like behaviors, like you can get if you do it right, you can get parties, you can get sales, and you can get teammates all by doing the one thing, and that's reaching out. It's just sharing your story, telling them about ZYIA, putting that seed there. And you might have to plant the seed in a different way. You might not have to say like, hey, like after you talk to somebody for the first time, and it might not be the same conversation, but now they know you sell ZYIA. Now they know you are active and steady. So it might be like, and I use this a lot. I use humor sometimes. Like, dude, when are you gonna join my team? Like, just when are you gonna join? Like some of that stuff. And people think that's funny. And I'm like, you keep coming back and you keep buying. Like, a girl the other day, she's like, I really need the energy shorts and a tank top. And I'm like, you spend so much money, buy the kit for $295 and use $100 and buy your own shorts. You know what I mean? And she's like, yeah, you're probably right. And she joined, and yeah, is it that easy all the time? No, but it was just literally me telling her, like, when are you just gonna join? Like, this is getting ridiculous, So the seed might be planted in a different way, but anytime someone reaches out to me and they spent, $200-300, they obviously love the gear. Those people are easy group volume, 100%. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to have parties. They don't have, they're already just buying, I had another girl just join. She's like, oh my gosh, you see new releases? Like, I need the bra and I need this. I need the red chill long sleeve. Great. Let me show you how to buy it. You know what I mean? So as you get people who are passionate about the gear, that's 100% what, like, a lot of my reach outs are. Like, hey, I'm just following up. Like, I know you love the leggings. Can I get you this or this or that? Did you see our new kit? So the verbiage of what I say is different, but I also genuinely really want to talk to these people. I'm not just like trying to recruit them. And as like Candace has built this team of people that are kind of close knit, you'll see that you don't want somebody who's like a lot of issues or always complaining to come inside of your team because your team is so cohesive. You know what I mean? So I think like looking at your team in a perspective of things, you always just got to be like how Candace and I do, celebrate big wins, celebrate small wins. Obviously we chase ranks and that, but sometimes I feel like, especially for me, when I put goals out there that are focused around ranks, sometimes if I don't hit them, then I'm like sad. You know what I mean? So when you have momentum, it's easy to really put like goals out there based upon ranks because you have momentum and you can do it in your head. But for some people who kind of are part-time or just kind of put some things on the table every now and then, like maybe littler goals, not like ranks, are a little bit easier for them to bite off and chew, if that makes sense. So as you guys start to build teams and like get people under you, it's not easy to be like, all right, well, can you sell $600 so I can be a junior rep and get Nikki's? Like, that's hard to do. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to make a plan that's like, and obviously when they get someone under them, they're going to want them to do that for them too. So it's all about it, like, just kind of trying to build a relationship and a team atmosphere. Obviously had like, so you should congratulate yourself. You're obviously trending way over where you were last month, and last month was huge. You know what I mean? So as heavy hitters, I talked to Candace about this last week. You often look at what you're doing and you're like, wow, this is awesome. Like I have all these sales. I got some teammates now. Like I have the whole package this month. How in the heck am I going to do it again in June? You know what I mean?
Right.
So this week is awesome. Like I love this week because everybody's grinding. Everybody's like trying to get is the last sale and the last teammate, and they're trying to get rank or whatever. But what's also really great about this week is I start looking ahead. I start looking at hostesses. I start looking at people I want to recruit the whole month. And that's always a goal for me. When I pick people out of my social media or out of my memory joggers, I'm thinking about like, I'm going to recruit these people all month, So I really want them on my team. At this point, I'm hosting parties for people that I know could be a good fit for my team, and I want people like Candace, and I want people like Amy. Like I don't have time to hold someone's hand and be like, hey, are you going to make a Facebook group today? Like, Candace, you have a full-time job. You don't have 30 minutes to try to teach someone how to make a Facebook event. Like that just can't happen. So you need to go after people that that can run easily, but at the same time that you want to kind of work along. So in June, keep that in mind. Duplication will help your team volume 100%. The restocks are great days. I'm a numbers person, so I break down like sales by the day, if that helps you guys. I know Candace, you do that really well. And it's kind of like, for me, it's like exercising. If someone else is out there cheering me on, it's going to be a little bit easier to do. I'm not out running for long distances by myself. Ever, but I'm working out by myself, and that's good enough, So, but if you're cheering me on, some people just don't care about that. They really don't care to go. They want to bother people. They don't want to recruit. So you got to figure out, okay, how do I use these people, or how do I use this person to their best of their ability? Like, how do I love them where they are? So, I just want to say, like, for your team, like, congrats. Everybody who was on that call 2 weeks ago has shown some sort of small win or some sort of improvement. And I know sometimes, even for me, everybody's like, oh, Erica, great job. Like, you did awesome. Like, you're killing it in sales and you're killing it in recruitment. And really, like, I love hearing that because I'm working hard. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm thinking about people who are like struggling, like I'm thinking about those people. Like, so in the back of my mind, I like to be able to tell you guys good job. But I'm also really thinking about the girls who need help too. But think about like this. Amy's not just sitting at home and all these sales are coming in, like freaking people are lining up at her door with money. She's putting in a lot of work, and so are you. So I think you guys got great momentum. I always prepare like newer reps who are knocking it out of the park, like to prevent burnout. When sales don't come as easily anymore, I try to prepare them for that. I'm like, okay, who can we think about to get you on the books for next month? Because it may have seemed easy for the first 2 months, and then things fall off, and then they get discouraged and frustrated, and then they're like, well, this isn't as easy anymore. So, I'm going to fall off. And that happens to my team a lot, and then I go find new people. It's like a trend. Does that make sense? It's easier sometimes to keep the people that you have versus find new ones and do it all over again.
Right.
No, you want to duplicate, right?
Right.
So, I don't know, just like talking to your team, like, is there anything really like that you think that they are struggling with or doing really well at?
I mean, I think everyone's kind of got their strengths and their weaknesses, and but I have noticed just the ones that have book parties and are hosting those parties are really making the sales, and that's where, I mean, the parties is where the money comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just getting those parties booked and having your calendars full is the most beneficial right now. And getting the sales and follow-ups are huge. and just talking to those hosts about using those credits, no matter if it's 20 or 150. And I mean, they obviously like the product enough to host a party for you, so they are always a potential rep too. So
Well, I think it also was really nice to see, like, they posted today, like, hey, so and so's having trouble with the party. You know, like, what are some things they can do? You know, because you've got a party that's like nothing, and it's easier to do nothing. You know, it's really good to see, like, they're reaching out for help. And I tell my old players that when we fundraise, like, they get to the end of the fundraiser and they haven't sold anything. And I'm like, why didn't you ask for help? You know what I mean? Like, it was easier to do nothing. So I think you really that's awesome, that you have that and that they're trying to help each other through it. You know what I mean?
right, absolutely.
I would say, it's so hard sometimes to get involved in and interaction in a party sometimes, So I would say just, keep trying to share tips and booking parties, obviously.
Yeah. And I think doing the trainings helps too. Just watching any trainings that come up, or just finding some kind of time, whether it's driving and listening to it or actually watching it, has been super helpful for me, because you just never know, like, the tips out there that can help you that you may not have even thought of. So
yeah, like mystery hostess. Like, I started doing that about 3 months ago, and it's been my bread and butter. But it might not work for everybody. They might not have that. They might do better in a party. I don't, like my friend Kelly, she does better in parties. I just don't,
yeah.
And I don't do all things. Like, I don't go live every time. I don't post the same things every time. So maybe a little bit consistency might help my party game. But, until I need it and strengthen it, then I just stick to what is good for me,
Right.
Do you have any potential reps, Amy, by chance? Or candidates?
So I still have a party going from the beginning of this month, honestly. And I've reached out to both her and her sister because her sister purchased several different times. So, I mean, I have that one on my radar, but I do ask every hostess, and I do feel out the customers pretty well who buy a lot. So, yeah, I have a crazy amount of parties going on right now. So I'm just trying to find my organization at this point. So I'm feeling really all over the place, but we'll get it, I guess.
Yeah. And you will. And sometimes maybe disorganized crazy works better. You'll figure
Right.
it out.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
one thing I will say is, as months go on, and even Candace can go back and look at her numbers, like history, your most successful month, sales, recruits, the whole spiel is when you have a lot of parties. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right now those people are in the parties, like Candace was saying, individually messaging those people. Like, those are non-negotiable things that I do every time, because I want those people, if they don't buy, I want them in my VIP group. I want to build a relationship with them through my product. You know what I mean? I post a lot of things in my VIP group that have nothing to do with ZYIA. You know what I mean? So if you can build some sort of like common rapport together, that helps too. Because if you're going to be on your team, you want to have something in common a little bit, or
Right.
be kind of friends, right? And then one other thing is, I had another girl on my team. I was like, hey, can I get your team on a call? Like, I want to be in your chat. She's like, well, my 2 reps, they just joined for the discount, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and like, you will hear that people will join for the discount. I treat those people no differently. I offer them trainings. I offer them calls. I put them in my group chat. They can opt out. And I treat them like, I talk to them about business strategy and ranking, and I treat them no differently. So even if somebody says, like, I'm just going to join for the discount, every month I treat them like they're part of my team. Does that make sense? So, I wanted to put that out there, because I know you're going to have some reps that join for the discount. And you obviously love them for the $100 that they give you, or $0. But, like, sometimes situations change and somebody loses a job or doesn't go back to work, or you know, and you want to be able to help them, you know, in any way they can. And if they have all the tools already, the training, the exposure, they can be like, oh, well, I need $100. I'm going to go sell some ZYIA, you know?
Right.
So that's one thing I want to tell all my teams is that once somebody tells you I'll join for the discount, keep treating them like part of your team, you know? So, and I know, Candace, you do that, right, with your discount reps?
Yeah, they're all included in the group chat and everything. And you made a good point. So I was talking to Erica about like recruiting, and I just really haven't really added anyone this month yet, but I have a party going right now, and she's been talking about joining for a while now. So she's still a potential, like I haven't closed out her party yet. But Erica made a good point to like really get to know your potential reps and kind of why they would join. So like she loves the clothing and would join more for the discount, whereas some people are more income driven. So you kind of have to know what they're wanting out of getting the rep or the kit and joining, and kind of talk to them about that more than throwing everything at them and then them being overwhelmed. So I'm more talking about the clothing and the new releases and the hot items and getting her in that way. And instead of being like, oh, you can make this amount of money, because she has money. She's not worried about money. She wants the clothes. So that was a good point that I didn't really think about. I kind of have always just talked about everything when I talk to potential reps and throw it all at them, the income, the discount, the benefits and everything. But you made a good point of you should like kind of pinpoint what they would be interested in and start there. And so you're not just kind of overwhelming them in the beginning, you know?
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of prefer that sometimes, like when people don't join right away, and then we kind of build a relationship and we get to know each other, and they obviously buy during that time, because when they do join, then now they're ready, you know, and now they feel closer to you, and it's harder to leave, you know, it's harder to just do well and then just leave. So, I mean, like Marla, I mean, she took a year, and now, you know, she's doing really great. So. And I also, you know, as I want to develop more directors in my first line, I actively recruit people, and I say, listen, I need leaders. Like I need people who don't need to be held hands. Like I want you on my team. Like like Bailey, I just recruited her last month. Like I told her, I'm like, listen, you will do really well at this, you know, and she was scared. She's like, I don't want to, you know, not do well. Well, that's not an option for you, you know? So don't be afraid to tell people like, hey, I'm doing really great things, and, you know, I want you on my team. Like, I think you can do really well. And then they feel that. So they feel that confidence up front, even if they are scared. So, you know, there are a couple ways, you know, you can recruit people. And I think that practicing is really helpful. You know, I know we send a lot of messages online, but we did that a lot at AT&T, just practicing, talking to potential customers or reps or whatever. Like that is very helpful because, you know, you can give each other objections that you might get in a real life recruiting conversation. And the more times you practice, like hell, I practice every day, 10 times a day. You know what I mean? So now when somebody doesn't read my message, I sometimes don't even realize it because I've moved on to the next day. You know what I mean? So when they do come back, couple weeks later, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I messaged you, but what you want? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I obviously have a list. I'm a bookkeeper, you know, and a lot of people use Excel. I write down who I talked to, when I talked to them, and how I presented the opportunity. If they have hosted a party before, if they have product, I put notes like that. And I don't dwell on them. If someone says, yeah, I'm interested in hearing more, and I give them information, I don't hear back from them, I don't like send them 5 more messages and say, hey, did you get my message? You know, I'd say, hey, what was your favorite part about the video? Or what do you love about ZYIA? Like I ask questions where they have to answer me back. Yeah. And sometimes I'm just like, hey, where did you get so-and-so that you posted on your social media? Or something that's not even about the company to engage conversation. So I think it's about like having a system that's around recruitment. It's not just sporadic when somebody's doing well in a party, you know, or when somebody is like, oh, you know, I was kind of thinking about doing that, you know, like those are easy wins. Those are icing on the cake for you. Those are people walk-ups. And then one last thing is like, as you grow a team, just don't forget about like, you know, I was the same way. Like Candace started out and like Amy started out. I was like, head was down. I was running and running and running. I was putting up these big numbers, winning trips, doing all kinds of craziness. And I kind of forgot about my team. I didn't put time into my team. And I know it's hard when you're trying to find pockets of time to yell at your kids or go to the store or whatever. But if you can do one thing a week, whether you're leading one person, 0 people, you know, then you would be getting people. But whether you have one person or whether you have 10 people, do one thing that's just you and your team, you know, kind of like this. And eventually this call is going to go from 3 to like 50, you know? And that's why I started these calls, because I want to put more into you guys, because you guys are going to put more into your people, you know?
Right.
And then in the beginning, like the new rep training, like in the beginning, if I can do some of that work for you, then it takes a little bit off of your guys' shoulders. You know what I mean? And then you'll be comfortable doing it. I think it's important to train your people like this, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 people as you onboard them, because it shows you care when you put time into them. And before, you know, like Candace, I probably tagged you in a video or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've gone back to my last year and I probably recruited, I don't know, 60, 50 people, and I have 3 directors. So I now know that I have to try to do some more things towards like engaging with people and just giving a little bit of effort. So if you can do the new rep training, like Amy, obviously you have tons of strengths to teach people. You know, as you get new people, just set up a new rep training, you know, and just kind of put pieces in there that work for you.
Hey, I'll be right back. I gotta grab Gracie.
Oh, she coming home. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of my action items, is that I was literally just like tagging people in like new rep trainings from ZYIA, and they have to find time to watch it and take notes. And if I can get them on a call, like I got them on a call to sign them up, then maybe they can ask more questions and kind of learn in a different way, if that makes sense. So, anything else, you guys? Anything? Well, I'm going to stop recording so we can talk offline, but I just wanted to record this for y'all's team, because there's a lot of good things to celebrate. So
Okay.
but if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to call me or Candace.